Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 in this playlist on building your very own approval workflow add-on for Google Docs. In this video, we are going to explore all of the elements of building this app minus the actual app script. I'm going to save that for a video in all of itself. So let's get started. The first thing I stress is just simply being organized and creating a folder to contain all of your documents that will go into this particular add-on. So I've got a top level folder called Approval Workflow. Then within that folder, I created a placeholder folder for where all of the field trip requests are going to go. So this just helps keep everything simple and easy and organized. And as you'll see later, Autocrat puts all of the files in there. The next thing you want to create is an actual field trip form. This form is representative of the bare minimum of data points needed to create this form, mainly for the calendar upload and just information you'd want to know about a field trip anyway. But certainly you'd want to ask many more questions in this form, and you can expand the questions in this form to track more data points in your request. But keeping that in mind, once you've crafted your form, the next step is to then create a template that will allow you to merge all of those data points into a document. And again, you can use tables, you can change your layout, you can add your school header, you can make this look really professional. And then try to create sort of a space of where you know you're going to apply that approval or rejection stamp. So I added a straight horizontal line and then some commonly found language around official use business. So that is the template. Following the template, what we'd want to look at is the response sheet. So when that form is submitted, all of the responses will land in a spreadsheet. You'll notice this spreadsheet has all of the columns of the data from my form, and then there are a few extra columns. Columns I and J are columns I created to essentially put the time format into a format that when you create a calendar event, it will create a calendar event. Because as we look at it right now, if you try to upload this 11 a.m. to Google Calendar, it's not going to work. It's anticipating the time to be in this format right here. So hence this array formula. And you only have to put this one into the first column, and it will just auto-populate the rest of the way down your spreadsheet. Again, the same formula goes into here, just referencing column H instead of column G. And then columns K through N, those are added simply by setting up the Autocrat Google Sheets add-on. So we're going to walk through the settings of that right now. So I can go ahead and launch Autocrat. If you don't have Autocrat, it's available if you just look for Get Add-ons, and you can search for Autocrat. So let me launch it. So instead of creating a new job, I'm just going to walk through the settings of my existing job to give you a sense of what this looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and click Edit. So I've given it a name. I've attached my template, which we addressed earlier. Again, that's the Google document with all of the merge tags for all of the data points that you want to display in your Google Doc. This is where you map the data from your Google Sheet. So it's good to use good naming conventions, so it's very easy to match your data points. And again, these can even be hyperlinks. You can actually change For example, if you're going to track a hyperlink, you can set it to hyperlink, and it'll be a clickable link when it goes into your document. But all of these, in this case, are all standard documents. And you do have this pull-out drawer, which allows you to, when you need to name things, you can name things with the data that was populated in your response sheet. So you go ahead and you match those. Here's an example of that. So I've decided to name the field trip request the name of the field trip, which is essentially the title field, and then the date that it's going to be taking place. And the type is a Google Doc, and we're doing multiple output mode, which basically means one document per row, basically. Then here we select the folder that we established in getting started. So this is where all of my requests are going to go, and I make sure to select that one and put it in there. I'm not using any dynamic folder references, so we'll ignore that for now. I like to use this merge condition just to prevent unnecessary merges. In most cases like this, you wouldn't necessarily need this, but what this is saying is that it won't perform the merge unless there is text in the timestamp field. So if you happen to enter data down here, Autocrat won't try to perform a merge on its own. And then of course we want to share the doc, especially if someone else will be approving this. So we want to make sure that's enabled. Has to be editable in order to be written on by the admin person. And then we have to send it somewhere. So you may have a group or an individual that you want to send it to, but you would just then put in the email address of the party that you need to send it to. And I like to use the person who submitted this. So in other words, this email address field as the reply to. So if there's a question about it, the admin simply needs to just reply to the email, and it'll go to the person who requested the field trip. And then a brief text about, here's this notification saying that it's been submitted, and then some instructions about proceeding to the approve or deny field trip add-on to process the request. Then you will need to enable a couple of triggers. The on-form submit one is pretty reliable, but it's also nice to turn on the time trigger just in the event that it misses on-form submit. It'll pick it up the next hour that it goes off again. And that's essentially it for setting up your Autocrat. So I'm just going to go ahead and close out of this. And there's one last feature of this spreadsheet that I want to speak to, and that is if you open up the script editor, you'll see I have a very small function here. And what this does, it's setting the format for column F, which contains the date. And again, this is merely just putting column F into plain text in order for it to be, in order for it to create a calendar event. So, and this fires, I've got a trigger here that every time a form is submitted, it'll put that column in plain text again. So that is the form response sheet. And then the last piece, prior to delving into the app script, will be this concept of a signature bank. Now the signature bank contains here sheet 1, which is nothing more than the email addresses of those who will have approval powers. And the way this will work is the add-on will identify who is currently logged in to that session, and then based on the function they choose, approve or deny, it will append the image, the approval image or the reject image. So again, this is just the approved image, and this one here is the reject. So we'll talk more about how this actually works when we get to the script file, but you want to have a column for all of those who have approval authority, and then a column for approvals and rejection. And then these could be actual signatures. I just went with the images. But then all of these other sheets could be your other workflows that require approval. So in this case, the field trip data, this is an import of the field trip form response sheet. So I'm bringing in the data from this sheet, but being careful to put it in the specific order that I need to work with. So in this case, it's important that the document ID is in column A, because I will be using this information to essentially tell a script when to stop looking for something when it's looping through the data. So this is our unique piece of data that helps tell the script when it can stop looking. And that's essentially it. So this is a query import. And what I'm going to do is, when I'm done making this video series, is I will make this folder right here with all of the docs available in a view only, and you can make copies of the documents that are in here. So you don't have to worry too much about writing down all of these sort of strange looking long functions and array formulas. So that's essentially it for video 2. We've covered most of the basics. If you want, you can even go ahead and just create an empty AppScript file that's called approve or deny field trip. Your add-on will eventually take the name of whatever you name this file right here. So we'll call that a wrap, and in video 3 we will explore the AppScript. Thanks for watching. Bye.